Hey guys, it's Miss Long. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend and that you are awake and ready to get to work today. I know this is a little bit different and you are used to me being there with you guys when we take notes. Obviously, I'm not there. I can't be there. I am at a conference in Nashville with Miss Ewing and Mr. Ellerbush. If you have one of them, obviously you do because they're our math teachers. So we're going to try to take notes this way just so that you guys don't fall behind, and hopefully we can be in a good position to maybe do an experiment on Thursday when I get back. Okay, so try to make sure you get all your work done this week and have really good behavior for your sub so that we can do that when I get back Thursday. All right, so we are obviously starting on symbiosis. So you will need this sheet of paper if you don't have it. You will also probably want to go ahead and grab the doodle notes paper. It's colorful, looks kind of like a cartoon. It'll get glued in your notebook right behind this. Okay, so we're going to start with this one. We'll actually take some notes. You have a really lucky advantage here that you can pause the video and stop and write. I know some of you do this with Miss Ewing all the time, so you can just ignore me. But for some of our friends, it is going to be brand new. So this is how this is going to work for you. Stop the video if you need to copy. Hopefully this goes smoothly because this is the second time I've recorded this because the first time my cat kept jumping in the video and it just got too much. So here we go. We're going to start with the types of symbiosis or symbiotic relationships. So there are obviously three types of symbiosis. You have parasitism, commensalism, and mutualism. They all have a little bit in common, but have some really big differences that are going to be important for you guys to remember for your SBA on Wednesday. So we'll start with parasitism, okay, over here on the left. We'll go ahead and define it. We're going to define parasitism as a parasite living off of a host, harming or killing it. Okay, so if you need to pause and copy that down, you are welcome to do that now. All right, so knowing that parasitism means that a parasite, something usually bad, is living off of the host and either harming or killing it, that should help you understand this little image up here. Okay, this is an easy way for you to kind of memorize what's what. In parasitism, you have one that's happy and one that is sad. Okay, this is your parasite right here who's benefiting, and then this is your host who's really sad. So a pretty simple example of parasitism, one that you're probably all familiar with, is a tick on a human or animal. Okay, so a tick attaches to you or to an animal and kind of sucks the blood out. Ticks also carry bacteria and diseases and stuff like that, so they can be a really nasty parasite. But the bottom line is that they're going to kind of pull blood. And when you think about small animals, when I think about my cats, a tick on them could cause them to get really sick really fast because they're not quite as big as me. I wish they were as big as me because then they would be amazing. But they're not. All right, next up is a daughter vine and a plant. Okay, that is definitely something you're going to want to look up. See if you can find some cool images on that. So a daughter vine kind of takes over a plant. It starts to twist around the stems of the plants and kind of squelches the leaves from growing. It keeps them from growing and really hurts the plant. So if you have some extra time today, you should look up images of the parasitic plant daughter vine. Next up, mistletoe. Okay, mistletoe is something you see a lot around the holidays. It is a pretty plant that has kind of blooms and flowers. It's green. but it is a parasite. Okay, so I remember when I was a little girl driving down the road and seeing these giant clumps of things growing on the trees, and the trees, of course, by December don't have leaves on them. In our biome, they have already fallen off. And so I could see these big clusters of fluffy stuff. From the car, it looked fluffy. And I asked my parents what it was, and they said it was mistletoe. And that mistletoe kind of grows up on the tree and takes over, and it can make the tree really sick. Obviously, people sell it around the holidays, and they hang it up in their houses. But it is a parasite. Okay, so that's a pretty cool thing, and you can read more about that if you want as well. All right, moving on to commensalism. So commensalism, if you notice, has different faces, and we'll do our definition, then we'll talk about the faces real quick. So commensalism is when one organism benefits and the other is unaffected. All right, so if you look at your faces up here, you have one benefiting, that's your happy face, and one is unaffected. This face is kind of the like meh face. He's like, whatever, I don't really care, doesn't hurt me, doesn't help me, it's fine. Okay, some examples of that are a cattle egret and cattle. Okay, so the cattle egret is the bird who kind of flies around the cows or the steer, kind of stays around them, eats the stuff they're eating or eats the flies. So they don't really hurt the cow or the cattle, but they're certainly not helping them. They're just kind of there. Okay, next up is a barnacle and a crab. Okay, so barnacles start out and they're not very harmful at all. They just kind of chill on the crab. Obviously, as with anything, there's an extreme and it can take over. But for the most part, they don't bother the crab. Okay, it's kind of like barnacles that grow on other animals in the ocean. They just kind of chill there and live, and it's not helping the crab do anything, definitely, but it's not hurting it either. Cool thing to look at pictures of, though. All right, next up, I think this is the most common and the most popular. It's actually on your doodle today, and it is a remora and a shark. Okay, so a remora is the fish that kind of swims underneath a shark, kind of follows it around, swims at its fins, and it totally benefits because it eats all the scraps the shark drops. And let's be real honest, sharks are not neat eaters. So they leave a lot of stuff to kind of float and fall into the ocean. And this guy's just here at like the buffet, eating everything he can get his hands on that's just a scrap. Okay, doesn't hurt the shark, doesn't help the shark, certainly helps the remora. All right, and last but not least, seeds and animals. Okay, so all animals that have fur or feathers or something that seeds can attach to are at risk for this type of symbiotic relationship. These seeds will get in the fur of your animal or wild animals, and as they travel from one place to another, the seeds pick up over here and then they drop off over here. So whatever plant and vegetation was here now has a chance to survive over here. So it's a really cool deal for the seeds, kind of like pollination, but we're not quite there yet. It doesn't really affect the animals at all. They just kind of roll with it. Okay, so that's where you get your happy face and your meh face. All right, last but not least, we're almost done. All right, mutualism. Okay, so this word should be familiar anyway. If you look at just the beginning, it's mutual, which is probably something that you've heard before. So our definition of mutualism is when both organisms benefit Okay, that means both are helped. Okay, so obviously here you have two happy faces because both friends are happy. They both benefit. I'm going to be real honest, y'all. My other cat just came into the room, and I'm scared she's going to jump on this. Whew, so y'all will have to excuse her. All right, examples. Bees and flowers. Okay, so in this situation, both benefit. Okay, flowers get their pollen spread from place to place, and bees get help with their job. So that's a good situation for everybody involved. Next up, clownfish. Okay, y'all, this is Nemo. Okay, and an anemone. Anemone. A-N-E. Anemone. Sorry. Whew, that was a tough one. Anemone. Okay, so if you've seen Finding Nemo, there's no reason for me to even explain this. An anemone is what Nemo lives in. Okay, it helps the clownfish by giving it somewhere safe that other people cannot get to. The clownfish has an adaptation to where it can live in the anemone and not get hurt. And the anemone gets cleaned by the clownfish going in and out. All right, next, cleaner shrimp. And a fish. All right, so cleaner shrimp are there to kind of scrape at things and clean things off. I'm pretty sure there's also a cleaner shrimp in Nemo. You guys will have to fact check me and tell me if I'm right or not, but I'm pretty sure he's the one that in the fish tank says, my bubbles, my bubbles. But I'm not 100% sure. I could totally be wrong, so don't quote me on that. Cleaner shrimp and fish. He gets food, they get clean. Okay, sometimes they live in their mouth, and that's a pretty crazy thing, so you may want to look that up. Again, both happy faces here. All right, so you are officially done with notes. I'm going to leave you alone. If you have questions about this, you are welcome to send me a Canvas message, and I'll get back to it as soon as I can. You have some practice work today, and then you have homework that is due on Wednesday. Please don't forget to turn it in. Okay, you're going to have to mark the date you turn things in on with your sub. So if you finish in class today, you can give it to her or turn it in the tray and just make sure you've marked that you turned it in. I hope you guys are having a good week. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I miss you and I love you all. Let's see if we can give you a quick shot of Daisy. She's going to be upside down. Okay, so I'm in her bedroom. She looks evil. But that's my best buddy, Daisy. All right, guys. Woo! I love you all. Have a good week. I will see you on Thursday.